tough deals to make. I think they got to retain Dak at this point. And I think Cooper's going to get too expensive. I could see the Jets overpaying for an Amari Cooper to give Sam Darnold his target of the future. You know, I mean, he's a little more reliable than what they've had with Enunwa and Anderson the last couple of years. I mean, I'm not the biggest Cooper fan. I don't think he's nowhere near like a Michael Thomas or a Hopkins level Julio kind of guy. He's a second-tier guy at best, but he wants first-tier money.
And
that's why
Gallup's in place. And,
Gallup's good,
yeah. And Dallas already fucked himself by giving Jaylen Brown a lot and Ezekiel Elliott all that money.
Well, there's a lot of players they're into, and then Leighton Vander Esch is going to need money soon. You know, Byron Jones is a free agent this year. They have a very wealthy offensive line.
The good thing for most of America is their players get so overrated that they all get overpaid.
Because they're on fucking TV every week. Yeah,
Dallas can't keep all of them.
We can't escape it. I think there's more Cowboys games than Saints games that come on TV sometimes, man. I mean, as far as locally, I mean, it's like they're on every week. I mean, let's be real. It's crazy, but I'm just kidding on that. But y'all know what I'm saying.
Off, you know, if they ignore some other positions,
they could.
I think, I believe that, you know, they gotta try to at least give Darnold, you know, some kind of weapons that make sense. You know, and people that can get open.
He could be
open
one of
in
them.
the intermediate field. So
he could be one.
So I think that would be a win-win for them, and it would at least give the Jets
what about Buffalo?
A chance to find out if they have a quarterback or they need to move on.
What about Buffalo? I mean, that's a really good team. I mean, they should have really beat Houston in the playoffs. Houston was very fortunate to win that game. A couple iffy calls down the stretch, but Houston was I thought they got outplayed by Buffalo most of that game. But Buffalo's a team to me that's like the next step is to be a contender, to get one or two more players to put them over the top.
And honestly, I think we're going to see a lot of people go to the Dolphins, considering they have the most
cap space. Yeah, and who doesn't want to play in Miami?
And the Colts too, but the Colts seem to be playing the long game.
Where do you want to go, Indianapolis or Miami? I mean, do you want to go catch the festival in the middle of Indiana, or do you want to go to like South Beach? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. Like if we ask Antonio Brown what city he wants to play in, he's never tipping cows. No matter how much money shrooms they give him.
You can only listen to so much John Cougar Mellencamp. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Miami is beautiful weather. It is. I mean, look, I went there a couple years ago with the wife. I mean, everybody wears thongs. I mean, it's a great city. Beautiful city. That Fort Lauderdale, that whole metropolitan area is beautiful, man. The water's unreal. Who wants to go to Indianapolis over Miami? You know, I mean, Frank Reich's gonna have to put on a hell of a pitch because I mean they're coming off a bad year. They do have a lot of cap space. I think they do have some talent, but they need to really be creative in the way they do things. They need to have a good draft.
Want to try to hurt, you know, the Cowboys in that same division that can get another that can use a receiver to help out their young quarterback. I know. Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Now the only thing is the Giants. You know what that would mean though. That would mean Golden Tate might have to be on a move. A guy who I love as a cut candidate for the Saints.
A secondary receiver, so I think.
But that's a lot of money.
That makes a good tandem, and they got $60 million to spend.
But do you go there? Do you go there?
I mean, if you have a young quarterback,
because you got to
try to maximize that young quarterback.
I think
surrounding them with talent.
I don't think they need a Cooper.
They already invested the number 3 pick in him, so
I'll tell you this.
There's no going back on that quarterback.
I think the offense should revolve solely around Barkley. I think Evan Ingram has a chance to be the second best player in the offense if he could ever stay healthy. I like Tate as a chains mover. Shepard played pretty well. Who's the other cat, the other receiver that really stepped up late? Man, I'm having a blank. Slayton had a really good second half. I like their offense. I think they need other pieces. I think they need to improve the line a little more. Then they got to get a lot better on defense. Their defense was terrible last year. But let me ask you this. Okay, I got the first 2 names out the way. We got that out the way. A.J. Green, Cooper, Saints aren't looking anywhere at those guys. That's somebody else's deal. The next 3 guys to me, you can throw them in any particular order. I've got Emmanuel Sanders, I've got Robbie Anderson, and I got Keelan Cole.
I wanted Emmanuel Sanders during the season. I mean, you kind of went the other way, but
I like him. I always like Sanders.
Would he have looked in a Saints uniform?
No, I wanted Sanders. I just had a feeling it wasn't going to happen.
Between Frisco and the Saints moving on.
Well, if Emmanuel Sanders doesn't go to San Francisco, do they finish the way they did?
They don't beat the Saints.
No, I don't think they do.
He had a couple of the biggest plays in that game.
Truthfully, you could say they probably don't win that division if Emmanuel Sanders doesn't go there. I think Seattle wins that division, hands down. I mean, Seattle did win a division, didn't they? No, they didn't. It came down. We got screwed. That's right. Yeah. Seattle would have won a division probably if Sanders. I mean, you could really make a case that team wouldn't have been the threat. I mean, it really opened up Kittle. Debo really came about late in the year, but I think Sanders helped Debo a lot. You know what I'm saying? Debo got the lower matchups. He got more one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying? Emmanuel, and learning from a guy like Sanders, who's as crafty as he is, I'm sure Debo.
Don't have a lot of money to go.
They don't. That's what I'm saying. If Emmanuel Sanders says, "Hey, I want a 2 or 3 year deal worth $8 million per,"
you have Debo in house. You have Kittle in house.
Yeah.
Both of those guys are there. Kendrick Bourne flashed a little bit.
That's a guy that's interesting too.
And they got another guy that they like a lot, Jalen Hurd. And I mean. Dante Pettis might get.
I think Pettis is done, yeah, but no, Kendrick Bourne's a good point.
Hurd is a guy that's like 6'2" and does a lot of the things Debo does. So they might just try to keep running this kind of offense, with multiple receivers that can do multiple things.
They might say, "Hey,"
and see if they can get another veteran.
And it's true,
maybe like a Willie Snead or something.
Get a lower cost version of Emmanuel Sanders. They might say, "Hey, we see how it works now. We don't need Emmanuel, but we see the process of how it works. We need somebody that can do similar things.
Need somebody that can come in and get a first down when you need."
The Saints very much need an Emmanuel Sanders type. It would be a Lance Moore on steroids type of player. Even at 32 years old, he could still deliver. I mean, he came off that injury a couple years ago. He's still a money receiver in this league.
Second year after the surgery, so.
He's defied the odds.
He's not a guy that, in my opinion, he's not a guy he's a guy that's going to age well because he's not a guy that relies on just overwhelming athleticism.
He's a safe bet. I'll tell you a couple things. Whether it's Taysom Hill, Drew Brees, whatever. Whether it's both, I think he's a guy that could help a young quarterback, and yet he's a guy that could put Brees and company over the top for a second Super Bowl win. I mean, he is that kind of player.
He's the kind of guy where you can't double, triple team Michael Thomas if he's out there. And if you got Jared Cook exploiting the middle of the field, and maybe you bring in another tight end.
Because you don't want – I mean, look, let's be real at this point. We don't know if we could trust Traquan. I want to trust him, but we don't know. That's a big if. Ted Ginn Jr. to me is really close to playing himself out of the league. He's had a nice career, but I don't see a lot of opportunity. No, I think Deontay Harris should be the field stretcher.
Either that or you can – I mean, they have a bunch of prototypes in this draft that you can probably get – even later in the draft as other guys get pushed up.
I mean,
some guys
but think about that. Think about Deontay Harris as a field stretcher. Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara coming out the backfield. That's pretty ill. That's what I'm saying. You don't have nothing else to worry about. Shit's over. You're in the Super Bowl.
Honestly,
I mean, that's
at that point. Maybe you draft one of the running backs that slide in the third round.
You could. That would be.
At that point, I might start looking for a trade suitor for Latavius Murray. He can be a cow for somebody.
The Saints don't need a lot. They're deep. They're one of the deepest rosters in football. I've always said, to me, they're one of the top 3 most talented rosters in the league, if not the most talented. I mean, they don't need a ton of help in areas. But to me, number 2 receiver, it's a glaring need. When Taysom Hill had to come out there and be that productive as a second receiving option in the playoffs, that goes to show you we don't have shit at receiver outside of Michael Thomas. I mean, it's a real problem. Emmanuel Sanders would fix it more than anybody. I like Robbie. But Robbie, to me, needs to go to another situation where he could be the alpha dog, that kind of situation. I don't know if I like Robbie. It's a personal thing with his game, but Emmanuel definitely fits in better. And Robbie might cost you a little more as well.
Robbie's a guy that would fit in perfectly in Oakland.
He would, yeah. Gruden could do some ill shit with him.
If they could find a quarterback that can throw the ball further than 25 yards downfield.
Oakland's definitely a good landing spot for him. I mean, I tell you, he could go to a few places and really kill it.
Al Davis, his whole life was, based around finding the next fastest guy. He didn't care if you could play or not. If you could run a 4.2, 4.3,
and you were, absolutely. That's all. Look at Darius Hayward-Bay and James Jett, all these speedsters that he liked to chase. What else? This is what I have for Robbie. Interesting destinations for him. I have the Raiders as a possibility. I have the Patriots. Here's a team that's a little intriguing that we haven't talked about at all. Ravens. Lamar Jackson with one-on-one matchups with his arm going to Robbie Anderson in single coverage downfield. How nasty would that be? You know what I'm saying? With Hollywood Brown as well, with those tight ends that he's got, that would open up a lot of shit for Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? But we'll leave that for another show. But and Keelan Cole, no offense, I like Keelan Cole. I think he could be a guy with more of an opportunity. I think he only received like 40% of the snaps last year in Jacksonville. I don't know if he fixes our problems. So
honestly, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, y'all probably make fun of me if y'all knew how much of a truther I am for fucking Keelan Cole. I just felt like he never really got a fair shake because he was like an undrafted guy, and they keep playing Westbrook no matter how much he sucks.
No,
and now they got DJ Chark, and he's just the guy that's never going to get on the field. But get him on the Saints roster. I think he can make things happen.
Well, he's a hard worker.
All this is predicated on one catch he made on the sideline where he beasted over 2 guys and snatched the ball with one hand. And some.
You know what I like about Keelan Cole is they say he's one of the best students of the wide receiver position. They said he studies wide receiver as much as anybody they've seen in the league.
Undrafted guy.
That's say he's a hard worker that studies the position, and that rolls
undrafted?
right into what Drew Brees does.
You know what I'm saying? Undrafted?
Who was that?
Adam Thielen.
There you go, man.
Who's another guy that broke out like 5 years after they got in the league?
No, it's a perfect opportunity.
Adam
Thielen. No, good point. Well, we getting ready to get the fuck out of here. I got some eat some herb beans and rice, man.
Episode, we're gonna talk about the most important free agent.
Yeah, we have to really
part of this whole equation.
We're gonna do all that.
The quarterback position, but that's a whole episode.
Yeah, we gotta figure that shit out.
We gotta tease y'all with that. Yeah. Y'all got to come back for Mo to get that one.
We're gonna be doing another one later this week, y'all. Someday we'll let it be known on Facebook, man. We'll drop it.
We're gonna be doing a lot of parading, so we're gonna do what we can.
We'll be very extemporaneous.
Yes, it might be over the phone.
I think that's the right word.
We're gonna have to give each other good phone on that one.
Let's roll it.
The best in town.
Are we off Facebook?
We're still on Spreaker.
Spreaker. Go F yourself, San Diego.